if she left you, it's not the worst thing, and it's probably the best thing that's happened to you. And I know this sounds insane. I thought so too until I lived it. And today I want to tell you why I think some dudes should probably stay single for a while and how heartbreak might be the best catalyst for your comeback. I had a girlfriend for about 5 years. We even broke up for at least 1 year, so there was a gap in our relationship. And during that 1 year, we saw other people, and that alone hurt the relationship way more for her than it did for me, at the very least. We just tried to make it work again, and that kind of history with someone, it gets deep. Like, we met each other, we were high school sweethearts. She would constantly threaten to break up with me all the time, just on a whim. And I was so tired of it. And then I started realizing I was getting attention from, another girl. And I decided to go pursue them instead of stay committed to the relationship I was in at that time. I'm not here to expose all the details or dramatize everything, but I do want to talk about the weight of investing in someone for that long. We were each other's first true love. And like many first loves, we clung to the connection harder than we should have. It wasn't about compatibility. Looking back, we were trying to force something that never really fit. But because the highs were so high and we understood each other in some twisted way, we just kept going. The relationship became toxic. She'd threatened to leave still, constantly. And every time I'd convince her to stay, or I'd come crawling back, or I would just, put my hands up and say, fine, you want to leave, go ahead and leave, whatever, I'll see you next week. Or she would come back into my life and phone me, and we'd have sex and blah, 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 blah. You get the whole point. I'm sure there's like someone or someone you at least heard of that was in a relationship like this. So this cycle happened over and over and over again, because she was my emotional home. No matter how unhealthy, walking away felt like I would have to cut a part of myself off. Eventually she left for real, and it shattered me. I could barely function. I had such difficulty even trying to wake up and go to work. That's how fucking bad it was. I kept asking myself, what could I have done differently? Didn't feel like I measured up. I wasn't man enough to keep the person that I loved. That pain exposed a deep insecurity. It was very clear to me that she left because I didn't have my life together. I wasn't the kind of man I knew I should be. And that's honestly when I found the world of self-improvement. I started watching YouTube videos, kind of went on a doom scroll rabbit hole of self-improvement, as a lot of people do. And unfortunately, the content in this space is catered towards that. It just seems to be developed to keep you trapped. But, we out here working to change that. I did it because I felt like I had no other option. I started working out, reading, trying to improve. But if I'm honest, my initial motivation wasn't pure. I wanted to become someone she would regret leaving. And I know that sounds petty, but that was the truth. And ironically, that shallow motivation is what jump-started a much deeper transformation. She called me 6 months after the breakup. I thought, this is it. I've changed. I can finally show her. We talked for a week, just like the good old days, like a house on fire. Midway through that week, she told me that she was actually dating somebody else. It was really confusing to me because earlier in that week, she had interest in seeing me, and I arrogantly thought I could, try to get her to sleep with me again. I know it's messed up and I'm not proud of it, but something inside me broke in that moment. And I realized how far I still had to go. And I kind of just told her, I was like, what you're doing is wrong. Honestly, what I'm doing is wrong. We're not really good for each other. we both have to move on and carry on with our lives. And you should go tell this dude that you're not ready to date, because neither of us are. And it just made me realize I had a lot of healing to do. It's almost been 3 years since that chapter of my life is closed. I've had other relationships, but I never forgotten the lesson from that heartbreak. And honestly, one of them I should have just kept up with was staying single, like truly healing from the damage that caused me. That doesn't mean you have to like shut your heart out forever. As soon as a relationship would end, it seemed like I would just be chasing the next one, chasing the next companionship, because I was so afraid to be alone. I didn't want to be alone. I always wanted intimacy. I always wanted somebody to be with me. I always wanted somebody to talk to, but that really stunted my growth. And now we're here, single. And it's really given me space, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. I started to ask bigger questions. Who do I want to be? What kind of life do I want to live? What do I actually bring to the table as a man? For a while, I tried filling the void with distractions, dating apps, validation, temporary pleasures, but none of that worked. Eventually, I started to get serious about my goals, my discipline, my mindset. I started building a life that I am currently building, and the process is making me proud. And it just takes one small habit at a time. I developed routines, I've made sacrifices. I started chasing things that mattered to me. Not to prove anything to any of my past girlfriends, but because I've started to respect myself. If you're heartbroken right now, I see you. I've been there. And here's what I'll say. You're not broken, but this pain you're in, it's a doorway to your next chapter. You can either sit in it and replay every memory that you had with her, or you can let it burn the old version of yourself so the new one can rise from the ashes. When someone leaves, it can feel like your world ended, but sometimes it needed to. The man I am today could have never existed if she had stayed. If you have a story from a relationship where you learned an important lesson, I'd love to hear it in the comments. Please feel free to share whatever you're comfortable with. You don't need someone to complete you. You need to build a life so full, so purposeful, and ideally disciplined that anyone who enters it is just a beautiful addition, not a crutch. If she left, let her go. That pain might have been the wake-up call that you needed. Use it. Don't waste it. Get stronger. Get focused. Build a life that doesn't crumble when someone walks away. You got this. Stay strong. Stay hungry. Peace.